So, a lot of people have decided to change their finances in 2025. Overconsuming is just tired. We are sick of being in debt and we are done living paycheck to paycheck. And one of the people that has decided to change her finances in 2025 is Antoinette. And she commented on one of my latest videos. And let's read her comment together. Antoinette asked, I'd love to know how you started in the very beginning with budgeting and stopped using credit cards. Was it a process? And if so, how was the process? Feels like we're never going to get ahead of debt and be able to budget and save money. And I do not think that Antoinette is alone in feeling this way. I think that the feeling of overwhelm can be a lot in the beginning when you're first trying to get your finances under control. And when credit cards have become your way out or your safety net, if you will, the thought of trying to do without them can seem impossible. And knowing and having a process, as Antoinette calls it, that can help take most of that overwhelm away. But in order to really change the way that we've been doing our finances and do it right, it is going to require our attention and it's going to require a lot of brain power to make some real progress. And if you're anything like me, you can't afford any more attention to doing something new and just forget about brain power. At 50 years old, my brain pushes things out at this point in my life. It doesn't want to learn anything new or do new things. It just wants to be comfortable. Doing things like meal planning and cooking at home, trying to lower my bills, and staying on track with these no buy challenges is far from comfortable. So let's talk about how you can start to make those changes that you need to make without losing your mind. And a quick thank you to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. More about how they can help later on. Okay, here we go. 5 ways to not feel like a crazy person just because you're trying to save a little money. Okay, number 1, brain dump. Now, I love doing this. I've been doing it a long time in my home life and in my work life, and it really does work. Whenever I start to get those nagging and super overwhelming feelings of I have to do this and I have to do that, I have to call so and so and I have to go to blah, 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 it's because my brain is full. It has all it can take in there and it's letting me know, hey, sis, I'm at full capacity. That's all. It doesn't mean that I am lazy or that I'm a procrastinator or that I am failing. My brain is just simply uncomfortable trying to hold all of this information. It is very simply overloaded. And what ends up happening when we feel like everything is starting to pile up on us? Yes, everything suddenly becomes super urgent, right? So before I get overwhelmed with all of it, I just grab a notebook and I start writing it all down. Brain dump. Things I am running out of, people I need to call, errands I need to run, emails I need to send, orders I need to pack. I just write it all down in no particular order. I am basically just getting it from my overloaded brain onto the paper. And believe me, just doing that alone feels so much better. After I've got my brain dump completed, I will then go to the next page and I write it all out again, but I'm much more intentional and organized this time. I look at what really needs to be done and done now, not things for someone else, not things that I promised I would do, things that I actually need done today. Now I feel like I am more focused. And when I am finally focused, I get out of that paralysis state that the overwhelm had me in. I can clearly see my most urgent tasks. They are all right in front of me. And now I can begin to knock them out, easiest task to the hardest task. Now, let's say that the hardest task is still on my list at the end of the day. That's okay, but that now becomes my number 1 task for tomorrow. No skipping it. This keeps me accountable to myself in following through and getting it done. Now, with the rest of the tasks that don't need to be done today or tomorrow, the ones that I can see now are not quite as urgent as I originally thought they were, but they are still important. I will actually write those out into three categories: phone calls, need to do, and things to get. Those three have always seemed to work for me, and everything falls into one of those. And I will just keep working on the list, doing the tasks, getting it done. And that feeling that you get from marking them off really keeps your momentum going. Each time I'm like, okay, now what? Now what? I just feel a lot more prepared. And doing this process, I open my brain back up for business. I've taken away that overwhelming feeling, and I am now back on track. Don't underestimate a pen, a notebook, and a good old brain dump. Get it out, write it down, organize it, and just begin. Number 2, eliminate the unnecessary. So now that you are doing brain dumps and you're really starting to see how prioritizing really does help you, you might be looking at some of your pending tasks and thinking to yourself, is this even my priority? A lot of times we let things like fear of conflict, guilt, obligation, social pressure, all of those emotions, we will allow them to drive these tasks. And we may be seeing that more clearly now since we have them out of our brain and written down, and they are looking right back at us now, right? Begging for our time, our money, and our energy. I call these people-pleasing jobs. And you might be feeling like it could benefit you, probably in more ways than one, to eliminate some of these tasks altogether. But how will you do that? How do you just get rid of the ones that are not serving you? I want you to remember that your overall well-being is what you are focusing on. And you are doing that so that you can meet some of your personal financial goals. That is much more significant than being at a social event you'd probably rather skip, or participating in an activity that you might even find boring. Don't feel bad for taking care of you. Just cross them off. Open up your valuable time, store your energy for something more imperative, and save your hard-earned money all at one time. And this could even be temporary for you. You can always revisit later after you feel less pressure with all of these new changes that you are trying to do. If you need a little extra motivation with saying no, check out this video next. Number 3, automate and delegate. When you start thinking of all of your current spending areas and how you know you need to start working on those, you're trying to figure out an easier way to keep tabs on your budget, you want to stay on track with a major savings goal that you have, all of that can seem very vast and just like a lot, right? And to some, maybe even impossible. Here is where our sponsor, Rocket Money, comes in. You can automate and delegate a lot of those tasks to their very helpful app. Rocket Money is an all-in-one finance program that helps you save more and spend less. This personal finance app will help you to manage your subscriptions, lower your bills, make a custom budget, and grow your savings all in one place. Cancel unwanted subscriptions with just a couple taps. Automated and delegated. Maybe you'd like to buy a new home soon and you need to monitor your credit. Automate and delegate. Have a savings goal that you want to meet? Delegate that to the Rocket Money app. Now it's automated and you can just watch your savings grow. I personally love how it alerts me to unusually large transactions or a difference in the amount that I'm usually charged. I recently paid my property taxes to my mortgage company, and the amount was substantially higher than my typical mortgage payment. Rocket Money sent me an alert. Hey, this is a little more than your normal payment. Now, I knew that time, but what a great thing to have when you don't know. They also pop up with, and I love this too, these reminders like, hey Jen, on average, Rocket users save 28% more on their car insurance. Car insurance is definitely one of those set it and forget it type of bills. We don't want to think about calling around every 6 months to make sure that we're getting the best rate. No one has time for that. But Rocket Money, they do that for you too. To save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/sisterbees or click the link in the description below to get started today. Or you can also unlock even more features with the premium. So definitely check them out and take some pressure off. Automate and delegate. That's rocketmoney.com/sisterbees to get started for free right now. Number 4, turn off, mute, and unfollow. Saying that out loud just brings a peace already. It sounds like a vacation. Turn off, mute, and unfollow. Okay, so now that we are really diving into removing unnecessary jobs or tasks that take up our time and our money, let's think about removing one of the biggest time suckers of all, our phones. And I have said this before on the channel. We don't want to take the time to track our spending or do a budget for our income, which is essentially our livelihood. But we don't think anything of spending countless hours on our phone every single day. And it is all of us. Gen Z, your average daily screen time is 6 hours. Millennials and my Gen Xers, we are at 4 hours. And the boomers are right behind us with 3.5 hours. That's daily, hours per day. And our usage is continuously going up. In 2019, average use overall was 3 hours and 45 minutes. In 2024, that is up to 4 hours and 49 minutes, almost 5 hours a day on average. And 51% of us are admittedly using social media apps strictly out of boredom, which I found particularly interesting since not having time seems to be the go-to reason for not having a budget, not wanting to track spending, not doing our own grocery shopping, not cooking our own meals, not cutting our own grass or washing our own vehicles or cleaning our own homes. We don't have time, right? But 51% of us admit that boredom is our number one reason for being on social media apps anywhere between 4 to 6 hours per day. But like I said, it is all of us. And I am currently working on this myself. I use 2 apps for work and I check them constantly, just way too much and like a total freak, if I'm being completely honest here. And I have recently decided to delete both of those apps from my phone and only check them once a day from my laptop. I have set my phone to mute at all times and I get no push notifications at all. And it was really weird for me the first few days. Anytime a commercial came on TV, I felt like this internal pull, like a magnet, to grab my phone and get on those apps during the commercial. And I had to literally remind myself, those apps are gone. They aren't there to scroll anymore. And hey, Jen, how about you just sit in silence for just a few minutes? So I am on day 4 now, and the feeling is still there, that quick little pick me up, look at me. But I just tell myself no. And seriously, you guys, I already feel less stressed out. So check your settings, go to your screen time, and look through all the ways that you can start to limit your time on the phone. You can schedule time away from the screen. You can set time limits for specific apps. You can even set limits for phone calls and texting. Now you are really opening up your brain even more and not have it so bogged down with just nonsense information. Do we really need to know that Cousin Jimmy got a new truck or that our friend from high school is currently on vacation? No, we don't. Take back those hours and focus on you. And last but not least, number 5, stop multitasking. So if you have noticed, all of the tips that we've talked about so far have been in some way to get you to turn off, cut out the fat, minimize, slow down. We are always in such a hurry. And we've committed ourselves to so many things that we think we can multitask it all and it will all be okay. Well, research has shown that our brains are not nearly as good at multitasking as we'd like to think they are. The brain is not wired to work on multiple complex tasks simultaneously. And when I read that, I was like, oh, okay. So it's not actually that I'm just getting a little bit older. It's all of us, even teenagers. We just perform much better when we are focusing on one thing at a time. Multitasking can actually reduce your ability to focus and increase feelings of stress. It can also worsen your performance at work or school, which can lead to even more negative feelings and anxiety. So, again, just like in our brain dump, when you find yourself with a bunch of things on your plate and you're feeling like multitasking is the only way you can deal with it, try these ideas instead. First, use the 20-minute rule. Instead of constantly switching between tasks, try to fully devote your attention to one task for 20 minutes before you switch to the next one. And the second one is batching your tasks. And that is pretty much what it sounds like. You're just going to try to tackle similar tasks together. And this goes back to the second part of the brain dump that I mentioned earlier. Remember where I told you how I like to categorize the important tasks, not the urgent ones, but the important ones, and how I section them out into the 3 categories of who to call, things I need, and places to go. That is exactly what I mean by batching similar tasks together. And it does go much easier and much faster. And now I know why. And you guys, I want you to really hold yourself accountable when you are doing these. If you set yourself to the 20 minutes, do the full 20 minutes. No cheating, no stopping at 10 minutes. Put your phone in another room if you have to, no distractions. And you are going to start to notice that this commitment that you're making to yourself is going to start bleeding into other areas of your life. You'll think to yourself, oh, wow, I did the full 20 minutes and look how much I was able to get done. Building that confidence in yourself is so important. You can do the hard things. Training ourselves to save money when we have never purposely done it before is not going to happen overnight. It's no different than how you learn anything else in life. You start off easy, and as you get better, you will naturally add more complicated things as you go along. You just need time to get better at saving money and gain that experience that only comes with the successes and the failures. But in the meantime, set up your environment to have more of the successes. And once you see how that feels, which is going to be empowering, you will have more brain power to focus on those areas that are a little bit more difficult for you. And remember to be realistic. When you get to those harder tasks, break them down into smaller, more manageable steps. It may take you a few days to complete something, and that's okay as long as you do complete it. When you feel overwhelmed, you worry, and then you're just going to produce anxiety. So also remember to keep your mindset right. Instead of thinking or saying, oh, I hope I can do this, start saying, I am going to make this happen. Instead of just saying, I don't know how to do XYZ, start asking, how do I do XYZ? Making small but very intentional changes like these will simplify your daily life, paving the way for a clear mind that will in turn give you the headspace and the extra time for you to be able to take on this new task of learning how to be in control of your finances. Because as we all know, we weren't just born with this knowledge. We have to find what works for us and our unique situation. We have to apply it, adjust it, and just keep at it, slow and steady. Thanks to you for watching. And if you found this video helpful and valuable, make sure to hit the like button. It is the best way to get the video out so others can see it too. And thanks again to Rocket Money, our sponsor today. Their link is down in the description for you guys. And YouTube thinks that you will enjoy this next video. So go ahead and click that, and I will see you next time.